Hey everybody, this is A7X Fan Ben, and in this video I'm just going to do a quick overview of how to optimize your fleets. So I've already got a few pages on my fan site called Building a Fleet and then Gameplay. So these are two good guides you can look at as well. You can find links in the description below. But just a few tips overall, some of the most important tips in my opinion is to focus on gold, of course. These are generally for like 40 to 100 point regular games with gold, not death matches or anything like that. So to focus on gold, it's better to have more gold runners than gunships because of the point disparity. So for example, a gunship will often cost you 20 points or more with crew. So for example, if it's 15 point four master or 5 master with a captain and helmsman would be 20 points, and that's without extra crew like an oarsman or a canceller or a world hater crew, things like that, things that boost your firepower, for example. So in that case, you'd only have 20 points or less for gold runners. So it makes sense to have a few more gold runners than gunships usually in a fleet, rather than two gunships that might cost 30 or more points of your build total and only have one gold runner. And also because the only gold runner getting crippled can easily take you out of the game. So if you've got two gunships and one gold runner in a 40-point fleet, if your opponent and this is also strategic on your part, if your opponent has only one gold runner, you could focus on that ship and try to take it out. Because if you take out their one gold runner, they're probably not gonna win the game. They certainly could, but it's gonna be a major uphill battle. And I've seen a lot of fleets with only one gold runner falter quickly if you concentrate firepower on that ship and you're able to get to it and take it out. So it's good to have more gold runners than gunships for those two reasons. Always use helmsmen. This is just huge. This is huge for beginners especially. People know captains are important, and I tell people helmsmen are important, but a lot of beginners just they usually have too high a percentage of their fleets concentrated in ship point costs rather than crew. So you don't want to spend, 35 out of your 40 points on ships, because then you're pretty much going to be short on crew. There's a few exceptions, but for the most part, you'll want helmsmen on pretty much every ship. There are some exceptions, such as S plus L speed or better, but even then, when in doubt, go with a helmsman. If you can afford it, just get one. Don't do a shipwright. Don't do a cannoneer. It's almost never worth it. Just trust me. The speed is just the most important attribute for any ship, and it's the most important attribute in the game, basically. So it's just so important. So yeah, so always use helmsmen, even when you think you don't need them. The only exceptions would be if you've got like triple S speed, you don't have any points left, and you just can't do it, or you've got one of those empty gold runners that moves out at like she gets plus S to her base move when she carries no cargo. There's a handful of ships like that. Most of them are actually pretty good empty gold runners. So if you put the helmsman on, you lose the bonus. So it's kind of just pointless. So that's a weird exception. Optimize speed with base moves and helmsman. Speed is most important ship attribute, so I already talked about that. So if you're playing competitively, if you really want to win, using ships with at least S plus S base move is definitely recommended. Not always required. There are plenty of great ships with S move or L move, especially L. HMS Titan, for example, is certainly not a bad ship to try. So there's some exception to that too, but for the most part, you want to have fast ships and still add a helmsman. If you've got SL speed, don't assume that you'll be one of the fastest ships out there, because your opponent might be using S plus L speed and S plus S plus S speed and has helmsman on all those ships with those base moves that are already fast. So, and then the last point for this video, try to get extra actions from somewhere. So they're a bit of a luxury, but can massively help win games, and they're up in the top 3 or 4 probably in terms of how important it is. So you want to have cargo, speed, accurate cannons if you're gonna try to fight at all. Sometimes it could be good to just try to do all gold runners and not really have any fighters in your fleet, but usually it's good to have some combat capability. But extra actions are great for gold runners and gunships, especially gunships. That's where they're classically placed, of course. Cheapest special options are same action twice, which is also known as the Born Leader keyword in the master keyword list. The sack ability is often combined with captain on one crew, such as Captain Blackheart for the sack captain, 5 points. So sack is often only 2 points, sometimes 3 in the later sets. So sack definitely is for gunships, SAT for the most part. And then the biggest thing here with combos too is to combine them with good abilities. So SAT should be combined with reroll if possible, and then many factions have zero limit ransom rerollers, so you can essentially get like a free reroll. It's not quite free because you could also use the zero limit ransom plus 5 crew. That's another thing to think about. if you've got a faction, you have both of the types, like Zero Limit Ransom +5 crew and Zero Limit Ransom reroller, the +5 crew can buy you a reroller for 3 points, a regular reroller if the faction has one, like the French do, and another 2 points, which could be an extra helmsman, which could make the difference in the game, maybe. So if you've got a +5, you could get reroll and something else, but if you use the Zero Limit Ransom reroller, you can't use the +5. So just keep that in mind. But not all factions have both, so whatever. So SAT with reroll can be 6 points or only 3, essentially. And then, of course, SAC requires at least 2 SAC crew. I mean, that's not in the ability, but I'm saying that as like a definitely like borderline mandatory guideline. So just 1 SAC crew is not going to do well. The only exception would be if you have Captain Nemo or somebody that can capture crew, and then you could sack them, but that's not usually a strategy you'll be using in competitive games, and especially not 40-point games, whether they're competitive or not. So at least 2 sack crew are good to use with the sacrifice ability, eliminate a crew to get an extra action. 3 is what I prefer, and oarsmen are the ideal for those because the first one doesn't take up space. Because of the no stacking rule, the other oarsmen after the first one will take up space. So it's good to just remember, if you have 3 oarsmen on the ship, it'll take up 2 cargo spaces, because only the first one doesn't take up space, because the no stacking rule applies to the keyword and all the abilities inside the keyword itself. So I like to do 3 sack crew. 4 is almost, it's not too many, it's good. It's certainly good, but sometimes that means you can't carry a helmsman 2, or there's a slight chance in like shorter 40-point games you might not even be able to sack all 4, so. And then, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Don't skimp on helmsman for sack crews. I'd rather have a helmsman and 2 sack crew, 2 oarsmen to sack, than 4 oarsmen and no helmsman. And of course, you're going to sack the helmsman. So anyway, so it's still a viable option if you want to sack the helmsman. That's when you'll be getting desperate if you have to do that, but that's okay. So sometimes it's just totally necessary to win. So that's a quick video how to optimize your fleets. There's other tips as well, but this is mostly just kind of just basic beginner, not just beginner stuff, but also just competitive, top 4 tips maybe, or at least 4 in this case. So might do more videos like this, but that gives you a basic understanding of it. And like I said, the building a fleet page is pretty large at Pirates of Ben. And the gameplay page, I might add to that sometime. That's still pretty old. And then that page has links to all the rules and whatnot too. So a couple good pages to check out there. So thanks for watching. Let me know any kind of videos you want me to make in the future. I'll try to get to the suggestions. And other than that, I'll see you again soon.